Hey, so our first video is going to be about having strength in God when you're going through anything. You want to go ahead and read the first verse?
So our first verse is Romans 8:26 through 28, and I won't read it to you, but it's basically saying that when we're waiting and we're tired and we don't know what's going on, God is there for us. When we don't know how to pray or what to pray, it's okay because He's there doing it on our behalf. And that's because He knows us so much better than we know ourselves. He knows what we need and what's going to be best for us because He knows our future. Mm-hmm. And this is so important because when we find our strength in Him, we can't be dependent on ourselves because we don't know that future. We don't know, what's going to happen today or tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And that's why I know I struggle with being independent and thinking I can handle it all on my own, but it's so important to be dependent and rely solely on God and His strength because we couldn't get through without it. Yes. There's so many situations that we couldn't get through without knowing that He's got our back because we couldn't do it on our own.
I think a lot of people, especially strong people, always, even if they know you're supposed to go to God for things and rely on Him, you just feel that you can always do everything yourself. And I'm going to be basically re-saying some of the stuff that she's mentioned, but know that you don't have to do it by yourself, and that keep getting interrupted today. Anyway, so so you don't have to do it by yourself. Be willing and open to everything God has for you, because when you're not open and willing to receive things, you miss out on a lot. But I think you always have a pull for something or have a gut feeling about things. I think usually that's God trying to tell you something. So if you ever feel something like that, maybe get into the Word or do something that you really connect with God, whether it's being outside in the outdoors or whatever. Go do that so you can find out what God has for you. The next point we want to make is you don't have to do it alone. Let people in to support you. So this is important because this doesn't mean anyone to support you. It means you need to find someone who has the same foundation as you, who can be in prayer with you and not necessarily tell you what they think is right, but what they feel in their heart that God, or what's right to do for the Lord, I guess, if that makes sense. But it's very important to have a person that's like that when you're going through something.
And I think it's so important to know that that person isn't going to tell you what they think you want to hear. Mm-hmm. Because having somebody who is going to tell you those hard things and not agree with you is so important, but you know that they're doing it out of love and they want what's best for you and they're supporting you through that issue is so important.
And I think a big thing that a lot of people don't like people who tell you kind of, I guess, the truth and are blunt with you. In that way, even if it's loving, people tend to push them away when they're one of the most important people that you need in your life, whether you know it or not. And that's why relationships go in and out, I think. And I think a lot of that has to do with being, I don't know, just, I forgot what I was going to say. Never mind. Just forget it.
Just forget it. It's fine.
Never mind. I lost track.
So our next point is that we never face anything that we aren't equipped to handle. And this is such a revelation, everyday revelation, because when you go through a situation that you feel like you seriously don't know why is God putting me through this, you have to go back and realize He knows that you can handle it because you're not alone. It's not you that has to do it on your own, because He's there with you, holding you when you can't walk anymore, and He's the one that is gonna carry you through that situation. But you have to realize He's teaching you through that, and you're not going through it for no reason. There's definitely a reason, but
I think it's important to add the fact that when bad things happen, it's not God doing those things. Always remember that we live in a fallen world, and not to blame God for things. When you're hurting and maybe you feel like you want to blame God, I think that's the most important time to run after Him, whether you like it or not. And once again, be open for what He has for you. Everything's always in His timing, and everyone has their wants and needs. They want their healing now, because most people aren't very patient on things that they really want.
You want to know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, you want to know if you're going to get that job, that internship, that you want to know where you're going to go to school, any of that. But you have to realize that God has His perfect timing, and maybe you're just not supposed to know yet. Maybe you're growing through this season and relying on Him, that He knows and He's got you. He'll tell you when it's supposed to be, and when we trust in Him, that is when great things happen.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't realize God's there for you all the time, or when you're going through something, until you get past that season of life, and it may be like a year or so later, and you're like, wow, yeah, I didn't see it then because I was hurting, but He was definitely there. So, okay, so our next point will be patient when waiting. God will tell you at the perfect time. I guess we just kind of said that, but I have a verse to go along with it. This bee is back again. Oh my gosh. Okay. James 1, 2-4. Consider it a sheer gift, friends, when tests and challenges come at you from all sides. You know that under pressure, your faith life is forced into the open and shows its true colors. So don't try to get out of anything prematurely. Let it do its work so you become mature and well-developed, not deficient in any way. So that's why it's important to be patient when you're waiting on God to give you an answer or something, because you may not be mature enough to know exactly what He has for you yet. And so that's why it's so important just to wait on His timing. I feel like I'm being really repetitive.
But I just feel like those are the seasons that personally I've grown the most, is when I don't feel like anything's happening, but you just kind of wait and you seek God continually, but it's hard, it's definitely a challenge, and you're being tested in your faith, and you may not feel like anything's happening, but like she said, you can look back a few months or a few years later and realize, wow, this is what God is doing in me and through me to help impact other people. And so sometimes it sucks. It's not fun waiting to figure it out, but it's so cool.
A major point also that we don't have written down on our little notepad here is to be consistent in your relationship with the Lord. That's something I am a failure at, kind of. Because I feel like maybe we're kind of both the same way because we're both super strong women and like to do things on our own because we're independent, that we only go to God when we're in a lot of pain and hurting over something or absolutely need something to break through. But so when you're not consistent, you're all over the place with your relationship, so you'll be super weak, and then when you go to him, it'll be stronger. But if you're consistent, you'll build on the strength that you have, which is really important. And I feel like maybe God, he'll just reveal a lot more things to you if you're consistent, because he likes to test you in a lot of ways, I think, and that's what makes you grow, are all those tests that you have to kind of go through. And I don't think there's really, it's not a pass-fail type of thing, it's just if you're seeking him when you should be. So, anything else?
I think that's all.
Oh, and know that once you get through this difficult season, that you'll be stronger in all aspects of your life, and whether you see it or not, most people around you will notice it and most likely comment on that.
Yeah, and
So,
you may not even realize it, but
Yeah.
other people realize it, and it's really powerful.
Yes. So, we will be making more videos, and hopefully this helps you or maybe someone you know you can show the video to. We've tried to be as real as possible, I guess. So yeah, this is our first time, so bear with us.
Let us know.
Yes, comment
comment.
and give us feedback or maybe topics you would like to hear about. That would be awesome. So thank you for
you.
watching. Bye.
Bye.